Hello and welcome to the Creator Experience. My name is Lizzie Locke, and come along with me as I have conversations with people living true to their passions, full life force activated. Welcome. I'm here with Reza. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Reza Safinia. I'm a composer, also a producer and DJ, and also a yogi, also a builder. A few different hats.
Yeah. So, tell us, what's been exciting you lately?
Well, a lot of things have been exciting me, honestly. Like, we're living in very interesting times. Some of it incredible, some of it not incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even certain things have both sides to them, like ChatGPT, for example. You know, I've been working with that a little bit and messing around with it.
Yeah.
And it's been really, like, I actually tried to write a song with it, like write some lyrics, because David Bowie used to write lyrics oftentimes by cutting pieces of paper with words on them and just like shuffling them around.
Cool.
And just finding random arrangements of words that he wouldn't have thought of by himself.
Yeah.
You know? And then filling in the blanks and sort of making it. But you know, some of his amazing lyrics, like, you know, Moon Age Daydreams, like I'm an alligator, you know, you know, whatever. A lot of the words that, like, I'm thinking of the words of that song, you know, and just, you know, a lot of the stuff like it's on America's tortured brow, Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow, you know, like that's another line from Life on Mars.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he wrote that, but like Mickey Mouse and cow probably came to him from seeing random arrangements of words, right?
Yeah.
So to that extent, I started working with ChatGPT, where like I started feeding it certain words that I thought were working well together.
Yeah.
And I was asking it to give me more in this sort of thing. Oh, hello, Timmy. That's my cat.
Hey, buddy.
And it was interesting because it ended up being quite good. I got 6 good lines out of it, but it took me an hour.
Okay.
And it gave me so much corny rubbish in the midst of the good stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like maybe 5% good stuff and 95% garbage. So it doesn't have that much taste, but when it hits, it really hits, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so, and it was useful at the end of it. So I've enjoyed playing around with that. I've also enjoyed, in general, using it for other kinds of things. But anyway, that's one side thing. I'm generally excited about the state of music these days because it's got the double side to it. It's got a good side and a bad side. You know?
The duality.
The duality. It used to be back in the day, at least when I was growing up, that the artists who were like super successful were also really amazing, you know? And everybody liked the same, or a lot of people liked the same people, like Prince, you know?
Yeah.
Prince was an absolute genius, amazing, you know, and he also was a super commercial success, you know? Now we live in a time, and I'm not knocking people who are commercially successful, but we're living in a time where there's a lot more, like, it's not all, you know, a nobody and a somebody, you know? There's a lot of layers in between, and there's a lot of artists who have smaller followings, but still are being successful and doing really amazing things. And there's a lot more of those kind of artists actually now than ever before.
Yeah.
And so I've discovered so much amazing music in all kinds of different genres that normally, you know, or like 30 years ago, I would never have really found,
Yeah.
you know.
It
And
is.
thinking about all those things and how to cross-pollinate different kinds of music and how one style of music in one area of my work, like, you know, like maybe electronic music in my DJing, how that might affect the way I'm film scoring or how my film scoring work might affect the way I'm making an electronic track. Anyway, those are the kind of things.
Yeah, no, all of that is super interesting. I think it is a cool time now because I feel like more people are empowered to have a creative voice in the world and are less dependent on like a major studio or getting things out there. Like anyone can put things out there now, which I feel like has given a lot of power back to creators to be able to like share their art with the world without needing the approval of some external entity in order to do so, which is really powerful. And then, so what have you found on the second thing you talked about in how have your two different like forms of music with composing and DJing, how have they been informing each other?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing actually, because, well, like for example, when I'm DJing, I think of it as a kind of form of storytelling.
Yeah.
So the way I'm putting a set together from beginning to end, I really do think about it like, the beginning, establishing the theme, the idea, and then, even though I'm playing a song, in my mind, it's like that song is presenting characters or moods. And it's like, what's the evolution of that? What's the journey that goes on? What are the challenges? Like the hero's journey, for example. So then, like, I'll think about that, like, in musical terms, like when I'm actually playing. And I'll be like, okay, I just played a few tracks that people are dancing to and they love it and it's like obvious and it's working. Let me throw something in there that's like challenging, and see how the audience reacts to it. And it's really interesting because either you notice people sort of the dance floor thinning out a little bit, in which case you're like, okay, maybe that was the wrong turn. And okay, now I've set myself up a challenge that I need to deal with, which is how to get those people back in, Or they actually love that, and more people started coming in, or the people who are there, you see them like get more into it and enthused or whatever. Then you're like, oh, that was interesting. They want more of this,
Yeah.
So then you develop the rest of what you're going to play based on that little left turn that you took, And so in that sense, for me, it's like a cinematic journey because, you have the cadence, like in a movie, you have the cadence where, for the first, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, things are going a certain way. Then there's like a turn against that.
Yeah.
Then for the next sort of like 30 minutes, the character's trying to find its way through that challenge. And then at a certain point it overcomes it, and then at a certain point it's triumphant, or there's some wonderful thing that happens, and then it's the end.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that, in the sense of DJing, where you'll take the audience on that journey, and it's interactive with them, and you feed off their energy. They also feed off your energy, and together you create this narrative that goes through the same ups and downs and, discovery period and then conclusion. So definitely I think about it in that sense, going that way, but then how about the other way? How does the electronic music affect the way I think about scoring? Which that's also interesting because they are so different mediums, such different mediums, because in dance music and also generally in pop music, music is on a metronome. It's 4/4/4. Even if you got a different time signature, it's still on a sort of map, In film scores, you got a lot of like quick changes. You changed like from a 4/4 time signature to a 7/8 to a 3/4 because you're working around things that are happening to picture, and you want to highlight them or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that electronic music has done for me in terms of scoring is it's made me think more in terms of, instead of actually scoring every little beat that happens, to actually take a longer stroke on something, and instead of thinking like, I don't know, 12 things happened in a minute and I've got to hit every single one, I'm just going to write a piece of music that spans the minute, that abstractly gives you the mood throughout the whole thing that will work for all 12 moments, as opposed to hitting each one individually, you know? And that's something that I've been doing more and more of since producing more electronic music.
How do you feel like that's translated into the songs and into the, like, what's then seen on screen? Have any of those gotten on screen?
They will be actually soon. So Warrior, which is a show that I do the music for with another composer, is coming out at the end of June on Max, the HBO Max now called Max. So I took that approach a lot with this show, where the show's got lots of characters, oftentimes lots of things going on in the scene, and instead of taking the traditional approach of dun 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 dun, I'm going to do this, I just took that approach that I was explaining, where I was like, okay, I'm going to write a piece of music that just goes on for 2 minutes, and I'm just going to write it in a way that, so in answer to your question, I'm going to actually cut straight to the chase. The thing that it is that rather than thinking of every single moment, what I really felt was, I'm just going to read the energy of this scene. What is this scene trying to tell the audience? And what is the evolution of the characters? And generally, what is the vibe here, you know? And the answer to that question is not a question that I can answer with a word. Otherwise, it wouldn't need music, you know? It's a very abstract emotion that comes through from that, but I feel it. I can't tell you what it is, but I feel it. And then I put that into a piece of music that carries that across the whole scene. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the score of anything, movie or TV, is how you can really feel the depth of what's going on. And so to be able to articulate that in an abstract way feels more truthful in a way, because there's always multiple layers happening in a nonlinear fashion when it comes to emotions, or when it comes to like that journey. So it's cool that you captured that in song, in music.
I mean, I'm not saying it's cool for me. I'm saying that is interesting. That also, it's interesting, like in film and TV, when you got multiple characters, because one character's energy might be a certain way, and another character's might be another way, and them coming together in a scene is a certain type of clash that creates an energy of its own. Right? And that's what I've been thinking about a lot, is I'm not going to just write music for this character and that character and whatever. I'm going to write music for this situation. You know?
Yeah, because that is a character in itself.
Right.
The situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And would you find, like, I'm so curious with the sound, would you find, like, certain sounds kind of narrating the voice of different characters in that abstract expression, like certain tonalities and instruments?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, but in a very abstract way. I mean, there are some people who do that in a very non-abstract way, in a very specific way, like, oh, this is supposed to sound like a bird tweeting, or this is supposed to be,
Right.
Not like that, but more, I'm just feeling a vibration, and to me, in my mind, it's specific. Like, in my mind, oh, of course, this vibration is totally this situation. This instrument is doing something that is communicating this thing.
Yeah.
But that's only happening in my mind. It's not necessarily happening in your mind, you know. I mean, a lot of composers I've spoken to see colors, and I do too when I'm writing music or hearing music, and or seeing a scene. Like certain things for me are just so obviously purple, you know,
Right.
and some things are just so obviously orange, you
Yeah.
know. That makes zero sense to anyone who doesn't feel the same way, you know.
Right. I get it though, because like when I'm making art, I find that though it's abstract, it's incredibly precise. From the internal perspective,
Exactly.
it's like so specific, the transmission of the frequency. Whereas to someone who's observing it, it might look completely abstract or feel completely abstract. But from the creative perspective, it's like every little color and energy and piece is like very, yeah, precise.
100%, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where even it's not even necessarily a certain instrument, but it might be like the way that you're playing the instrument, you know, like you know, if you're playing piano, it's could be how hard are you hitting the key, or a series of keys, and how, like, let's say you're playing three notes. How hard are you hitting the first note? How hard are you hitting the second? How hard are you hitting the third? And what is the difference between those velocities? How is that creating an emotion? You know, or if you're playing a guitar or a string instrument, you know, how long you hold a vibrato or how much you bend the string.
Yeah.
Where do you stop? And what is motivating why you're stopping where you're stopping? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
All those things are abstract things, but they definitely elicit specific emotions.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how that works.
Very much so. Which makes sense because it's describing, I mean, to me, this makes complete sense. But it, like, because it's like translating an energy, and energies are abstract, they're felt in there, but they're so nuanced and so layered. So, like, the energy that goes into every single part of the creation is then creating the energy of the moment that's then experienced, that's matching that moment.
Totally.
So like every part of it, I mean, I can relate to that with like the way the brush hits the canvas. There's certain energies that come behind it that like it's not just about what appears, it's the energy that goes into it, which is something that I feel like, even tying back to the conversation of with AI, that until AI becomes a completely conscious entity, that that I don't think will be able to be replicated in the same way, in the way of like the way we as humans can put our intent into our creations really determines the creation.
Totally. I mean, I was having this conversation with someone, or I can't actually remember. Maybe I was actually watching a YouTube video of someone
Yeah.
talking. I can't remember exactly.
Just your mic.
Oh, sorry.
No.
But I noticed that, or someone said that AI will definitely be able to replicate a lot of mediocre things or a lot of median things.
Yeah.
It's not about it. I'm not judging it. I shouldn't say mediocre because I don't want to put my judgment on it. But because of the way it works, the most data that points to a certain thing, it will go there. So it can easily do a very good job of doing something that is very common, right?
Yeah.
But this is what I saw someone say, is like, no AI is ever going to be able to write Pulp Fiction. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the genius that was in that movie and the way that it just was so unexpected. Like, you know, in my wildest dreams, I would have never have thought of that movie.
Yeah.
And that is some amazing feat that Tarantino did when he did that, because he really wrote something completely original and made a movie that was completely original with nothing like it before or after it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's almost like the way I would translate, like speak that myself, would be that the AI is, it can create things that are like the general collective pulse because it's pulling from things that have already been created, which is brilliantly helpful when you need to create something that's like of that rhythm, but it doesn't have the innovation because it's not able to pull anything new.
Right. Actually, I always used to think that artists did their own art. And I remember going to this Damien Hirst exhibition, the one where he's got this shark and it's sliced up into lots of pieces. And I learned that he had like a team of, I don't know, 20 people or something working and assembling that. And at first I was kind of like a little disappointed because I was like, oh, well, what does he do then? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. You make my art for me. No, just kidding.
You know? But then I was like, oh, his art was like thinking of this thing.
Yes.
And, obviously it was a big project. And, then he had to project manage it and get people to create the vision that he saw, kind of like a director or something,
Yeah, yeah. His art was the vision of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And anyway, to that end, I feel like AI can be like those people working because, you, as you said, it's going to trawl through what's already existed and find the common ground of those things. Well, so that can be an amazing inspiration or just data or research for you to apply your vision to,
Yes.
and just speed up your process or something. But you're still driving the process, not that.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that perspective that you're still driving the process of it. Yeah. Yeah. And I also think too, like art and music and things that are purely human created will go up in value
I agree.
because they'll become more rare.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's kind of like, we don't really use film anymore, but when something's made in film, it's like this special thing. But when something's just purely human created, it will be like, whoa. And it will be felt differently because I think on some level we'll be showing ourselves collectively the contrast of like creation that's bringing that new energy in, and then creation that's kind of like repeat, and the stuff that's bringing that new energy in will be really felt on a deeper level for a lot of people.
I totally agree. I've actually had that thought. That's why I'm embracing it and I'm not worried about this
Yeah.
type of technology because I feel like it actually, exactly what you said, it puts more value on the human element that the computers can't do,
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible for a lot of other things because so much of the economy and so many people's livelihoods depend on, you know, doing jobs that can be replaced by a computer. But I think ultimately, I think that's going to be a big pain. I don't mean a pain in the ass. I mean a pain like a wound, to society in the beginning. But I think eventually, once it's become a standard thing, then all those people who are like unemployed because a computer's done, they will find new jobs doing something that a computer can't do.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time for the paradigm to establish itself to see what the new world we're going to be living in is.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be this world where forever it might be temporarily, but it's not going to be this world where forever there's like 10 people with great ideas and everyone else is unemployed. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah, not at all. And it's almost like it brought me back to what you were speaking about, the DJ set, and it's like this challenge that's coming in. It almost feels like collectively this really rapid implementation of AI into society is like this challenge that's coming in, but how we evolve through it will be like our own human collective hero's journey.
So on point, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like what cool things can actually open from that, and then all those people and all of their life force energy that's maybe going into jobs that like they don't really love, but they believe they need that to take care of their family or whatever it is. Where is all that life force going to create new creation? And what's inside of all of these people that wants to come into the world?
Yeah, because actually it's really interesting because already even without AI, I just know that in the course of my life, like when I was a kid, my parents would want me to go and have like certain type of job to have job security. But a lot of those jobs that, I'm 49.
Yeah.
A lot of those jobs that 30 years ago seemed like they would be secure jobs,
Yeah.
they're not that secure today. And oddly enough, a lot of jobs that one would have thought would be very risky, like being an artist, actually have a path for, I don't want to say more security, but at least, you know, some security, or at least some real path to making a real living out of it, that, that was much harder 30 years ago, So even without AI, that shift has already happened to some degree.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel that. I feel like the world we're moving into and one I'd like to create it like and be a part of that is where people who are living their passions, and like that's how they're like all the abundance that they need, finance and otherwise, is able to come through simply by them doing what they're passionate about. And I actually think that's when we reach like harmony, right? Like in a song, like when every piece is playing well together, when every human is playing the part it's literally like geometrically shaped to play, then I think we can experience harmony.
yeah, I was reading one of those kind of cheesy self-help,
Yeah.
not manuals, but like sound bites kind
Quote
of thing.
books or
Quote
something.
books,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're called.
And there was this one, I've heard it before, but it did give me a giggle. But I agree with it, really. It's like, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yes.
Have you heard that before?
My dad actually would say that since I was a child.
Yeah.
That was like his philosophy, and like, I mean, he was a fireman, but he would say, "I never work because I do a job I love," and he was always like, "Do a job you love, and you'll never work a day of your life." And it's so like it is something you'd find in a cliche quote book, but there's so much depth and wisdom in it.
Totally. It really is, But, so I feel like that is going to be, like, a lot of people have not listened to that wisdom, and mainly because it's scary to tread the path unknown, and maybe some people have too much to lose by doing that, and they need to just, do something that they know, okay, this is going to be good for me and my family, and I can just live,
Yeah.
So I'm not judging people who can't make the creative choice, or the one that is to follow their passion. But I feel like going back to what we were talking about, like the cheesiness of that quote, The truth of it, though, is that if people were able to make that choice, they would just be happier in life, you know, and then other people around them would be happier, and then the collective energy of people in the world would eventually, like, it would have a trickle effect where people were generally less combative, less, you know, rat racy, more like, okay, I'm happy, you know.
Yeah.
And another thing I feel like also is a byproduct of that, or maybe also in symbiosis with it, is that part of the solution also is to realize that we need a lot less to live. You know, I feel like we're so addicted to material things that we don't realize that the cost of those, the cost of what we have to do to be able to get those material things is some kind of damage to our own internal fire, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas if we were able to say to ourselves, I don't need to make more money so I can go and spend more money to have more fun, because I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing, and that is my fun. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't know how to really articulate that,
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're not doing the thing to get to the thing to get where you want to be. You already are where you want to be, and then whatever material things come in or don't come in, it doesn't really matter because you're already embodying where you want to be now. And so it's not about like chasing the material thing, but instead I think from that place the external can then become more of an expression versus a gratification, or like the instant gratification, or the like sign of being enough, or worthiness, or validation, or all of these things that I think can be so easy to want to like chase the material in a sense. I think those things are beautiful. However, when you're already doing what you love and living in that place, then like they're just natural emanations of that, and it's just from a different space. And then I think it's appreciated versus like, you know, having all the external things but still feeling that emptiness inside.
I agree, and it's very hard to make that point when it's just one person. And what I mean by that is, you know, if let's just say there's 10 of us and 9 of us are, you know, living the high life and making loads of money and then spending loads of money and, you know, doing lots of stuff that looks cool on Instagram, and one of us is like living like a monk with not much. That one person, just because of the way that humans work, is not entirely, unless they're like a very, very evolved person, is not going to feel that great about themselves being like, hey, look at me, I'm not having my material things, because they're going to look and see that 9 other people in their midst are doing something completely different.
Yeah.
But if it was the other way around, if 9 people were all living on a much more basic way or a natural way, you know, and doing what they love, and one person was being the, you know, rat on a wheel in the rat race, the 9 people would look at that one person and feel sorry for that person and be like, oh, that poor person's just really lost in life.
Right.
You know, and we're all so like peaceful and happy. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of it has to do with, you hear this word a lot, shift of societal values. You know, I think, you know, part of the problem is like we're constantly bombarded with from every direction with this idea that you have to be successful, you have to be, you know, materially successful, you have to, you know, look a certain way, you have to do, you know, you have to check all these boxes in order to meet some kind of validation criteria. Whereas if those criteria were completely different, and you know, instead of it being about certain material things, they were more to do with about like, you know, how present are you, how at peace are you with yourself and with other people, how kind are you to other people. Like if those were the things that society, you know, I was going to say judged you on, but you know, not
Valued.
valued, right?
Yes.
Then it would make it so much easier for people to actually pursue a different path in life that was more connected to their soul.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know?
absolutely. I think you're speaking so powerfully to the power of culture.
Yeah.
And like whatever culture you're around, it's like it's our nature to want to connect and be a part of something and like, you know, fit into the tribe. But when our culture and our society shifts what it believes and what it values, I think one will start to have different forms of currency where those things can be valued and you can receive from those things. And two, and I think it's slowly happening, what people will stop chasing things that aren't bringing that deeper sense of self, or chasing things that aren't true to themselves, because when you're present you can't not be true to yourself on a deeper level. And so I think it is a powerful thing. And I think to shift the culture, like every single human who stands in themselves more fully and honors their own inner culture is like voting for that world. Is like voting for that new societal agreement where it's like, okay, maybe you are the one person in the room with the 9 people living all this material success and you have nothing, but like that's not just testament to your worth.
Right.
You know, like that's not, we don't leave this world with those things. That says nothing about your value. That says nothing about who you are. How you respond in that situation says a lot, right? About
Yeah.
what you value and who you are. And like, and I think there's such a playful way to even dance with these constructs too, right? Like in that situation, it's like, oh, like how do you choose to write the narrative of the reality that's around you? Like, oh, this is beautiful, let's play with it. Like, you know, versus, oh no, I am not enough. It's like you could see the same exact situation from so many different narratives. And then that's just the story and the reality that then you live in.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
But in that, like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited for the values to just shift as a society.
I mean, I think to go full circle to
Yeah.
what we started, I think that is going to happen, is what I'm saying. I think that actually that is, I'm echoing what you said, but
Yeah.
I think actually what this AI stuff is going to do is it's going to put the value on those human things that we've not been valuing for the last century, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Like, and I think those things are so. Yes, you've got things to say. You
Hello.
agree. It's time to value the things that are so simple because they're simple in that they're so innate to who we are as humans.
Absolutely. And nature.
Yeah, it's true. Nature's only present ever.
Exactly. I mean, I mean, like nature's perfect, you know. I don't know. We've always had this like urge to change nature or do something or create our own. I think that's one of the things about our species is that you know we have a brain that is not just creative in terms of making art, but it's
Yeah.
creative in terms of actually trying to be the master of our own destiny.
Mm.
And you know, we take natural processes and we have some kind of brilliance, but also some kind of arrogance at the same time, to think that we're better than nature and we can do better than nature, you know. But we
Yes.
can't. We can't beat nature because nature's perfect.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Yes. I think nature is like our teacher,
Absolutely.
like in every way. Yeah. But it's like such an unconditional teacher because we're like, ah! We're like the child like beating it up, and it's just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm still supporting you. You know.
This guy. Oh my God. Talking of inspiration. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can. Oh yeah, you can't see. This guy is just such a. I mean, look at him.
Mm.
And I feel so much. Like when he sits in my lap,
Yeah.
I feel so much,
Yeah.
and then that inspires. Like I can go make music for hours.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't even know how to express what I'm thinking.
Yeah. He feels so connected to you too.
But yeah.
Like.
But I mean, he feels connected to me. He feels like he's connected to something in a different realm. You
Yeah.
know? And that he's my bridge to access it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think he is definitely very connected to another realm. Yeah. Animals, they're our teachers too. Like,
The biggest.
yeah. Like unconditional love,
Yeah, big time.
connection. Do you ever notice he like, if you're like ever having like an off day or something, he'll like pull you back?
Always, and he'll come and chase me, and he'll just appear, you know, and he'll just sit with me until I feel better. Yeah, it's very interesting.
He just knows.
Yeah. One of the really interesting things, I had another cat who passed away, and I was very, very close with that cat.
Mm.
I mean, I'm very close with Timmy too, but Eddie was my other cat, and he was a very wise old soul, and you could really feel that, you know.
Yeah.
And he always used to. You see him there. Those are his ashes, and a book about him under my speaker, right there on the left speaker there.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah. And the reason I have that there is
Oh.
because he used to lie there.
When you were making music.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know, it was amazing. He used to love the rumble of the bass, and
Wow.
he would just sit there and purr while I was making music.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that's his home.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's magical.
Really is.
Yeah.
He was a wizard. He was like Merlin in
Yeah.
a cat. You know?
Yeah. Merlin here, magic cat. He's still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's throwing things down from another plane now. Yeah.
Actually, it's really funny. There's a cat who's shown up in the neighborhood who looks a bit like him.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And he came outside my window the other day, and Timmy was like freaked out. He was looking at him like even he was like, holy cow, that cat looks like my old brother.
Wow. Is it a wild cat? Is it like a street cat?
I don't think so. It's a very regal, beautiful.
So it's someone's cat.
I think it's someone's cat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's visiting.
Yeah.
Hi. Coming to say hello.
I wish you could have seen his face, right? Because he was like Timmy's face. Because he was just like this, just minding his own business, and then all of a sudden his face went like this. He went.
Wow. Yeah. Do you remember that? Oh. Hi. So special. Do you feel like, yeah, you were saying you'll then get inspired to go create music. Yeah.
You can totally feel him, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh, yeah. He's very special.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I learned from both of my cats, interestingly, is how love is such a natural force. Because people really like to think that it's a higher emotion for humans. But I mean, this is pure love right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's our most natural, you know? Like, it's most innate. There's no, like, question. There's no, like, judgment. It's just pure connection.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like if you were out in the wild and you saw like, you know, a tiger or, you know, a lion or even in a, you know, realistically in LA, like a mountain lion, you
Yeah.
know? Have you ever thought about how that interaction would go?
Yeah. I've actually had a couple.
Really?
Yeah. I saw a mountain lion in LA in Beechwood
Oh.
years ago. And I passed it on the street, and I was going to my friend's house who lived up in Beechwood Canyon, and I was walking, and I saw the mountain lion like crouched in front of like bushes just looking at me. And I didn't feel fear, oddly. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to run. I actually stopped and like connected with it and just like stared at it, like, and I didn't even like, my mind didn't even process it as mountain lion. It just was like this magical being that I felt there. And there was just like a moment where I just felt it, and I felt it feeling me, and it was just like powerful. And then I walked on. You know, it was just this like quick moment, and I didn't feel fear. It was only in retrospect when I thought about it, like, oh, that was a mountain lion. And I'm like, you know, comedically like, oh. And I had similar, I walked amongst wild tigers in India. And
Whoa.
yeah, I was staying in an ashram in India. And my friends and I, we were like, we want to walk to the Ganges River. And we asked the lady who runs the ashram, like, well, what do we do if we see a tiger? And she's like, well, what can you do if you see a tiger? We're like, fair point. And my friend was like, you want to go to the river? And like, I was like, yeah. Like, I didn't feel fear whatsoever. We walked to the river, jump in the river, and then this Indian guy comes over and he was like, there's a tiger here, like 10 minutes ago, you should probably go. And we're like playing mermaids in the water, like just ridiculous. And then we get up and like leave, but I didn't feel like any fear. It felt just like magical. It felt like connected. It felt like okay. And then the second time my friend was like, do you want to go to the Ganges River? My instinct was like, no, but my mind was like, I'll be fine. And we walk out, and this time we get lost in like thick brush, and there were, we had dogs with us that time for some reason. I don't even know where the dogs came from, but we had dogs with us, and the dogs like jump out of the brush, and we're like thick in this brush. I'm wearing flip-flops, like, but it was one of the coolest moments of just like trusting and being connected to the force of nature, because the birds above me started like speaking loudly to where I could hear. They were like, and not from a place of like, warning, 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 more from a space of like, it's time to turn around now. Like, and like, move gracefully.
Yeah.
They weren't like, run! They were like, gently turn around and slowly exit. There's a tiger there, but just gentle, you know, like it wasn't, and so I was just like, okay. And I remember the feeling, like, I didn't feel fear, I felt precision again in energy. And I felt so held by nature and like the magic of nature that it was like an exquisite moment, because I could also feel the energy of a tiger sleeping in the brush. I didn't see it, but I could feel it. And it was just like power. Like, boom, 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 was like right there. And I was just like, okay. And I turned around and I walked away, and I was fine, you know. And only time I felt fear was in retrospect, thinking about the story of how close I was to a wild tiger.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've never been around a wild tiger, right?
Yeah.
Or any real dangerous wild animal. And I question, are these animals dangerous because of the way, like, if you approach even a cute cat with fear, the cat smells your fear
Yeah.
and then treats you like an enemy, you know? Whereas if you, and is aggressive, you know? But if you see a cute little cat and you're like friendly and you're like, oh, hello, and you introduce
Yeah.
yourself and whatever, then the cat becomes your friend. Or a dog, same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like, why would it actually be different? I don't know if I'm just being really naive, but like, why would it be different with a big cat?
I don't think it is. Like, you know, like I think it is an energetic thing of like the energy we're putting out, we get back. And that is really, and animals are our greatest mirror of that because they're so energetic.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you give love, I think you will receive love. And like, you know, like I do believe that on a deeper level. Like, am I going to go in when the wild tiger is hunting? Maybe not, but actually, I even believe you could still like supersede that. Like, I believe it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, okay, let's not go to that extent, extreme,
Right.
but let's just say along comes a tiger and along comes you.
Yeah.
Could you be like, hey, how you doing? You know, get a
Yeah.
bit closer, eventually touch its fur,
Yeah.
maybe stroke its head, you know, like the way you would with a cat.
I think so.
I really wonder about that.
I think so. Like, I think if you were truly in yourself and not in the fear energy and just in that pure connected love energy, I think it's possible.
I want to believe that.
I believe it's possible. I think it's a form of mastery. You know, like, I don't know that I would be there 100%. Like, that, I mean, with the mountain lion I was, but like, face to face, I don't know. I'd have to experience it, right? But I think it's possible. I really do. I like really like, because we're all energy, we're all like vibrational beings, and I think it even goes as far as that extreme. And we've created so many narratives around animals being dangerous.
Right, that's what I mean.
You
I
know?
feel that's exactly
I've
what I
come
was
toe to
feeling.
toe with an alligator too in like the rain. And again, when I'm in these situations, I don't feel fear. Only afterwards, when I talk about them too much, I like, or think about them, I go, oh, that was like, that's only when the thought forms of like, oh, that was dumb, come in. Or like, I'd probably never do that again. But when I'm there, that's not at all what's been felt. Because there's knowing. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say there's context makes a difference. Because I saw something happen with Timmy once that was really interesting. A bird flew into my window and just kind of almost dropped dead. It was still alive, but
Yeah.
it dropped down and it was very badly wounded. It was bleeding and it wasn't moving. and it was just like lying there, looking like it was dead. And Timmy was not interested in attacking it or playing with it. He just went there and he just looked at it like this, like with concern, you know?
Yeah.
And then I went and picked the bird up, and I could feel that it was still alive, but it was barely still alive, you know? And I kind of just held it in my hands and kind of tried to give it energy. I don't know. I was just doing some instinctual thing that I felt might help it come back to life, you know? And after about 10 minutes of that, and by the way, Timmy was just sitting there the whole time, just watching.
Yeah.
After about 10 minutes of that, the bird opened its eye and tipped over onto its legs and just stood there. So now it was definitely alive, but it wasn't moving. It was just standing there, and Timmy was not attacking it either. It was just like sitting there watching it. And then this is the part that I saw it almost in slow-mo, you know? The moment the bird moved its feather like this much, like this, that very moment Timmy pounced on it.
Yeah.
And as soon as Timmy went for the pounce, the bird flew off away.
Oh, wow, because it was well.
Because it was well.
Wow.
And I was just thinking to myself, how much of that, was it well, or did it just get the adrenaline it needed to go?
Yeah.
And how much of that was Timmy, like Timmy was clearly respectful of it being on the verge of death and didn't want to attack it when it was not strong.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And when it flinched like it was about to fly off, Timmy could feel that, okay, now it's fair game.
Yeah.
And then the action of Timmy going for it gave the bird what it needed to
go. Isn't that interesting?
It's so amazing.
Wow. Wow. I feel like that says so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. How in tune animals are to, like, move in that energy.
I almost want to feel like saying that Timmy was helping the bird by that final attack.
Push, yeah.
That final push.
Yeah. Well, because he did.
Yeah.
So he was. Very much so. Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I said about context, because, like, you know, there was a big part of that interaction where Timmy was concerned for the health of the bird.
Yeah.
And then there was a point where he was like, okay, now it's on.
Oh my goodness. He knew. There are animal creator teachers.
Yeah.
Look at Timmy. Actually, I don't want to. I want to
You want me to do
show.
it?
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. This is the master here.
Total master. Look at
Yeah. We humans are learning from you.
Absolutely.
Are you teaching us? Thank you. Thank you very much, friend.
Oh, hello.
Oh my gosh. So precious. Yeah? Where are you going to go? You know, it reminds me, I was watching this dog, my friend's dog, and when people come to the door, it barks like crazy. But then underneath the bark, all that it wants is pets. And it has this like scary bark, but then when you pet it, it's like a soft little creature.
Oh, yeah.
And so like these scary barks, what it's asking for when I listen is pets.
Oh, wow.
It's not wanting to fight. but the barks sound intense,
Yeah.
that can be perceived as aggressive or violent or bad. But really, they're just a call for connection.
Right.
And then how often do we even as humans do that? How often are we fighting or raging about something, but underneath is just like, I want love.
Yeah. Yep.
You know? What do you think? Well, on that note, you want to show us some of your music setup?
Oh yeah, sure. All right. Oh, but you're in the Timmy zone.
I know.
How do you get up from this?
I don't know how you get up from this. This is kind of how do you ever? I would just stay in the Timmy zone all the time.
I call it the Timmy trap.
Is Timmy's like, I'm not done. Okay. I like the Timmy zone.
There you go. Okay, he knows what's up.
He does know.
See?
Uh-huh. He's like, not quite yet.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
He's
That's a
brilliant.
good one. I need that reminder. Don't rush.
All right.
All right. On to the next chapter. That was a fun conversation.
Totally.
Okay. Oh. I don't know. It doesn't stop.
That's funny. Want to just turn it around?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Oh my god, it's totally
Wait,
frozen.
I've never had that happen before.
I broke it.
It's kind of cool though.